Welcome! Today we're going to explore some outdoor cooking methods that are not only easy but efficient. These rocket stoves can be purchased in stores or online, but they're so simple I decided to make one to fit into my outdoor kitchen area. These stoves heat fast, don't use a lot of fuel, and are amazing when it comes to emergencies or just fun and quick food prep. These are the materials to make a patio rocket stove. This one, I only put one burner in, but you can adapt this one to have 5 if you need it, just by turning the blocks and adding some more metal ducts. We have 4 cinder blocks per level, and we added 4 levels, 1 HVAC round metal duct, 1 90-degree adjustable metal elbow, gravel sand mixture, a shovel, a brick for tamping, and some tin snips. On some of the other stoves that I've made, you can use metal ducting or you can use some tin cans. There are several types of rocket stoves. You can make a patio rocket stove, which is what I'm doing here, or you can make a portable rocket stove from a metal garbage can, or you can make a tabletop version using regular tin cans. You just have to cut them and mesh them together properly. Rocket stoves have been primarily used in Asia, South America for generations and are extremely efficient in using twigs or branches and sometimes even grasses. I thought I'd add a comment about gloves. I wear them each and every time I work. But today especially, working with stone and metal, it's so important to have the right tools. This is the base of the patio rocket stove. I had to excavate out the area, level it, and then lay the cinder blocks out so that they would fit into the existing patio stones. The next level block is put on its side so that we can insert the tubing through it. Here's another view of the first layer. As you can see, there's a small area that is left in the middle that will be for the tubing and will eventually fill in with a damp gravel sand mixture used to insulate the heat from the blocks. But you really don't have to get that technical doing a rocket stove. You can make a 2-burner stove using just a couple of cinder blocks. I wanted something that blended into my outdoor kitchen, and that's why I did this type of design. This is the straight-on view of the first level. The middle section I filled with damp gravel sand mixture and then used the brick to tamp it down. Because the gravel sand mixture was already damp when I put it in the middle, it tamped down pretty well. So you're going to want to get your duct and slide it in to the 90-degree elbow, as you see here. Slide the round metal duct through the cinder block so you can mark how long you need it. After you slide the round metal tubing through the cinder blocks, you'll slide on the 90-degree elbow and place it so the elbow sits closer to the cinder block that is used as the firebox. So here's another view. You can see here how close the elbow should be to the cinder block and how the round metal duct is pushed through the outside of the cinder block. Here we mark the duct with a Sharpie permanent marker, but you can use anything. Make sure the elbow to the cinder block is pretty tight. After you mark the ducting, you'll disassemble the ducting from the elbow and pull the ducting through the cinder block. You'll need to flatten out the duct as much as you can in order to make it easier for the tin snips to cut through. Remember to wear gloves. Safety glasses wouldn't hurt either, just in case you lose control of the ducting and it goes flying. So here's the finished cut, and you can see the permanent marker line on the right. Now we'll slip the cut section into the elbow and make sure that the connection is snug. We will put it back into the cinder block opening from back to front. And you should keep the cut duct about a 1/2 inch away from the edge of the cinder block. The cut edge is really sharp, as you can see, and you don't want to get cut if you brush up against it when you're cooking. So keep it back and into the block. You can see the elbow and how it will sit into the heating vent. You'll need to keep it away from the back side of the cinder block slightly to allow insulating dirt, sand, and gravel to get in there. I built my Patio Rocket Stove so it's about regular stove height. So I stacked my cinder blocks to the height that I wanted, slid the remainder of the duct pipe into the elbow so I could see where I wanted to cut the pipe so it would fit right down into the stove. I used the cinder block as my level here and got ready to mark the duct with my permanent marker. I've made my mark, as you can see on the right side of the pipe. I went ahead, pulled out the duct from the elbow, flattened it out, cut it at the mark, and then put it back together and slid the cut piece back into the upper part of the elbow. You can see what the heat vent will look like as it is finished and before we place it back into position. Now the duct is put back into position. It sits just inside the front of the stove vent opening. Again, I left about 1/2 inch to make sure that any jagged edges won't cut my legs. Then made sure that the duct was away from the back of the side of the cinder block so we had room to insulate the heat from the blocks. As you can see, I placed the rest of the cinder blocks around the duct in the second layer and then filled the inside with dirt, sand, and gravel mix to insulate the duct and hold it in place. Again, look down and see that the duct on the front side of the stove does not go past the outside of the block. After putting in the second layer of the cinder block and filling the outside of the vent or insulation area with dirt, sand, and gravel, I held the duct in place and then used a brick to tamp the moist dirt mixture down into the vent area to make sure that the duct was secure and to also make sure that there was good insulation. The duct gets really hot when you fire these babies up. I didn't want the heat to destroy the cinder blocks after all this work. This is the third level of the cinder blocks. We just do the same thing that we did on the second level. We'll place the blocks and then fill the center with insulating dirt mixture and tamp it down. So this is the final layer. I placed the blocks and then filled the vent with dirt insulation mixture and tamped it down with brick, making sure that the duct was in the proper place. You can see that the duct is just below the surface of the blocks, so I can put my grate at block level. I put a storage box next to my rocket stove so that I have my wood and twigs ready and kept dry at all times. This also houses my lighter and paper or kindling. Some people use lighter fluid or alcohol to light the wood. Really, it's not a good idea to put a combustible like that into a small metal tube and then add heat. So if you need to, you can always make fire starters by using paper and wax from old candles to get your fire going. But seriously, if you use paper and then put your dry twigs on top and then put your larger wood pieces on the bottom, it will fire straight up. So this is what it looks like finished. Now I just need to add the fuel shelf and fuel magazine and fire her up. Rocket stoves start from the top. So we'll load in the fuel at the top vent or chimney and light it while it goes down. You want to heat up the chimney first before you add your sticks to the bottom to burn. I'll put a grate on the top of mine, but I really didn't need it. Also, to make a rocket stove burn and cook more efficiently, you can always add a pot skirt by using a large metal skirt that covers from the bottom of the pot to the lid. That keeps the heat focused not only at the bottom, but also the sides of the pot as well. You can also make versions of a rocket stove like this to heat a home, and you can make a pellet feeder to get that heat fast without much smoke and for long periods of time for dirt cheap. Hey, thanks for watching. Happy cooking, healthy eating, and better living come from South Pack Health.